All right, guys, welcome to those who are watching right now. Welcome to our very first burning discussion. I am Extermicide. This is our very, very first episode. And join with me are two of my colleagues who I have the utmost respect for, but we do not always agree on everything, which is why we believe this show may actually be very informative for a lot of you, because we have like very different opinions about different things. So I'm going to start off with Xy saying goodbye and stage fright. No, we're going to start off with some short introductions here, and we'll go ahead with you, Ghandex. We'll go ahead and just, a short little brief thing of who you are.
Okay, so, I've been playing video games for forever. As far as MMOs go, honestly, it was Guild Wars. The first Guild Wars was my first MMO. So,
welcome back.
Welcome back, Xy. Went off to World of Warcraft, like a lot of people. I played Final Fantasy XI, RYL, which was a Korean game. Several other Korean MMOs I can't remember the freaking name of because it was 20 years ago. A lot of places. I've played Eve. I've played a little bit of everything, really. So that's kind of my spiel. I'm excited for Ashes, so I'm hoping it brings back that spark that we all miss. So.
All right, Xyphien, yes, introduce yourself.
Everything. You didn't give me any chance or anything, so I didn't get to start the stream at all. So I had to exit out to do my own thing since you started it halfway through without, But I guess we're doing intros. I missed of Ghandex, so that's not gonna be on my video. I'm Xyphien. I don't know what we're.
Would you like Ghandex to do it again for the sole purpose of your video?
No, it's fine.
I mean, it was short and sweet.
That's on him. So.
It's something you personally haven't heard before. We've had these conversations, but just going over games I've played. That's really just kind of my history of MMOs and other multiplayer games.
Okay. Well, I guess with that, I'm Xyphien, also known as Sean. I have no idea what to talk about or introduce for me. I've been watching Ashes of Creation since 2017.
Well, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I don't know, man. I own my own company.
You have a guild that's going to be geared towards Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, I own a guild. It's literally just entirely Ashes of Creation built. And I actually, if y'all watching my video or live stream, what's pulled up is actually a website of mine, ashesqa.com, which is a question and answer website. So I'm super hyped for that. Now I guess it's on to you, Extermicide.
All right. And guys, if we seem a little shaky here, we didn't have any dry rehearsals or anything like that. We discussed kind of what we were going to do, but we wanted to make this kind of on the fly. So anyway, yes, I'm Extermicide. I'm 53 years old. I am the old man of the group. I'm probably the grumpiest one of the freaking group, and probably will be the most opinionistic one of the freaking group. But that's not a bad thing. Trust me, it's not a bad thing.
Until it is.
MMOs. I have played everything under the freaking roof. My very first MMO was on a Commodore 64 on a system, an online system on a 300 baud modem, if you can remember that far back. The system was called Quantum Link, and the MMO was called Habitat. And Commodore wanted to gain more people, so they turned Quantum Link into what became AOL, American Online. And back then we were paying 6 cents a minute to play our MMOs. From there, I played everything under the sun until the big one came out. WoW came out, and In my opinion, love it or hate it, I think WoW was the MMO to set the bar as to what an MMO should be. And I think every MMO since then has kind of tried to be that WoW killer instead of being their own thing, which is what ultimately killed most of these MMOs. I ran what was considered the largest guild in WoW at the time, over 1,200 people. On the Warsong and then Gurubashi servers. So, yeah, I'm planning on going into this game as a player this time instead of a guild leader. I'm done with the headaches and everything, and I don't want that kind of responsibility anymore. It becomes a second job. It literally does. So I have respect for anyone who is a guild leader and runs a large guild. And actually organizes a guild into being the best that it can be. How was that for a little intro?
I liked it.
Enough said there. Okay, guys.
Respect. Don't worry.
You know, it may sound freaking cheesy, but you two guys, I've only been speaking with you guys briefly. But, I do respect you guys. I like the way the three of us mesh. And I think this is going to be something very beneficial to all three of us and the Ashes community. So
hopefully. I'm hoping that even if everything we say is hypothetical, I do hope that certain questions get brought up that maybe get back to Steven and Jeff. And the rest of the development team. That's kind of what I'm hoping some of this discussion goes through. So.
And that's where we urge you guys, the community. If you're watching on Xystream, I believe Xystream is on Twitch, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I am streaming on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, and Trovo. So depending on where you're watching us right now from, you have the chat available to you. Ask us questions. If we're not answering, it might be because it's off subject. But if we're talking about something specific and you have a question about that particular topic that we're on, please ask a question because it will add to this conversation. With that said, also keep in mind that take everything that we say with a grain of salt. We are trying to deliver the best information that we possibly can, but we're basing that information on information that has been supplied to us. And being that the game is still in a pre-alpha state, getting ready to go into its actual alpha, until it actually gets into a beta form, things are subject to change. Nothing is set in stone. So anything we tell you may not be the way it's going to be in just maybe a couple weeks. So take everything with a grain of salt. That's all we ask.
As well as a lot of stuff we are going to be talking about is either hypothetical things we want to see or things that we have maybe heard. So it's, sometimes it might not be even in the game or even thought of for the game. So
yeah, and some of those will be opinions as well. So
yeah.
So correct. So with that said, we've already gone through the MMOs that we've kind of fooled around with and everything. For some reason, some way, shape, or form, we came across this particular MMO, and I want to find out what it is about this MMO in particular that made you gravitate towards it, considering there's a plethora of freaking MMOs out there to choose from right now. Some old, some new, some good, some bad. But what is it about this particular one that kind of made you gravitate towards it? And let's go ahead and start with Ghandex.
I've always been a big fan of a story, whether it's, you're the hero kind of story, or even if it's just where you're a dude who's doing his own thing, but it still is meaningful to you. It might not be meaningful to a bunch of other people, but it's meaningful to you. And I feel like a lot of MMOs have lost that, where you're just there. Nothing you do matters. Even to you, it doesn't matter. it's you play the game more where
just let me stop you for 1 second. I think it's your mic it's
is it rubbing?
yes, static sound over your voice, so it's there we go.
Okay, that's probably rubbing on my shirt. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of stories. I feel like Ashes is going to create the opportunity for you to have your own story. Whether you choose to make that story big or small, you get to be part of that. Where I don't want a bad name, WoW, but WoW, you're there. Nothing you do matters, really. Even to you, it doesn't matter. I've been a big fan of crafting. I have yet to play an MMO where crafting matters beyond a certain point. And in Ashes, as it was said today on the dev discussion, crafters are able to craft legendary equipment.
Yeah, spoilers. So let's not get too far into dev discussions yet.
Well, I mean, come on. It was said. I'm excited about that. I'm super excited about that. That's part of what drew me to Ashes. I also don't like hand-holding. And I feel like since even the mid-2000s, hand-holding has just been a huge thing. Original WoW had a little bit, not a lot. And then, like I said, I played Final Fantasy XI. There wasn't any hand-holding. Past a certain point, you literally couldn't do any content solo. You had to be in a party with Final Fantasy XI. EverQuest, also. A little bit here and there, but it drove you to find people to help you. Whereas you don't need anyone for anything in a lot of these games nowadays. And I feel like that defeats the purpose of an MMO. So that's what I'm looking forward to with Ashes.
All right, fair enough. Xy?
Well, my MMO experience is pretty limited. I played RuneScape. I dabbled in almost every MMO, but I haven't ever found an MMO that I liked outside of RuneScape. I love skilling more than I do combat. And skilling, for people that don't know, apparently that's not a common MMO term, but it is where you don't really do combat and you only do stuff like, gathering, crafting, and stuff like that. RuneScape has it has, I think, 28 skills. You have hunting, crafting, smithing, mining, woodcutting, fire making, cooking. There's so many different, so much stuff to do in that game that no other games really had it. It's either quest, and don't forget to quest until you're late game, and then you can have fun. And it's like, I don't like that. And with Ashes, they have skills that are viable. It's actually more viable to be able to craft weapons than it is to kill bosses for legendary gear. And, stuff like that. So skilling will be a huge thing in the game. And also, you don't have to be in late game combat, or you don't have to be late game in order to have fun in it. At least that's what, the devs are saying. So those are, I guess, the biggest things that have appealed to me in the game.
Very cool. All right. So you're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, personally, it becomes a issue of, again, this goes back to me playing lots of freaking MMOs. Over time, you get promised certain things in an MMO, and oftentimes I've seen them not delivered, or delivered poorly, to the point where you're just blatantly lied to. And I really don't. I could sit there and pull out a whole handful of MMOs and tell you exactly which ones screwed me over in the past. I don't really want to badmouth anybody toward in our stream here, but most of you who do play MMOs you probably know the MMOs, or at least one of them, or two of them, or three of them that I am talking about. With that said, when I saw one of the, I think it was the Kickstarter video, I think there was a part in there where Steve said, you know, he said exactly what I just said, that, you know, he had been screwed by past MMOs. And sometimes if you want to see things done right, you have to do it yourself. And that right there was like, oh my freaking God. Okay, here you got a guy who is a game player, who has played these same games that I have played. He feels my freaking hurt. You know, either the guy is the best freaking car salesman in the freaking world, or he legitimately freaking has felt this freaking pain that an MMO gamer has gone through. And the fact is, he's been successful in early life with business and everything. He has the money, and he put his own money forward to start his own company and to start his own MMO, one that he knows that he wants to play, and that he's sure that other people want to play. And to me, that's huge, because, you know, to be honest with you, the genre itself has been on a steady decline over the years. The average MMO player is 28 now, and up. There's younger players, but they're like in a minority now. And it's really freaking nice to see that, you know, we're going to actually receive a freaking MMO come out with everything that we've ever wanted in an MMO. He's going to take, you know, he's already promised that we're going to take all these things, the best parts of all the freaking best MMOs of the past, take this from freaking WoW and take this from Guild Wars 2, and then just take the best stuff, put it together in one game, and then add my own ice cream on top of it, you know, being the node system, or, you know, the caravan system, or, you know, add his own flavor to it and everything, and just make it his own. I stated earlier, a lot of freaking MMOs try to be that WoW killer. They try, you know, let's build this, and no, let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way, because that's the way WoW does it. And they do it so much to a point of trying to be like WoW. They're never going to be the WoW killer. The only video game, or the only people that I believe it's ever going to kill WoW is WoW itself. I think Blizzard is going to eventually one day kill WoW. I don't think anyone else is ever going to kill WoW. But with someone like Steven, he's coming forth saying, I'm not trying to be the WoW killer. I'm trying to make a game that I want to freaking play. And, you know, he's thinking outside the box, and I love that. I love it when, you know, when someone is trying to make something unique, something from his own brain, and not trying to be a carbon copy of like all these other MMOs. And that right there sums it all up. That's what attracted me to this particular MMO. I thought I was done for sure with MMOs. But this one is calling me back and saying, you know what? I'll give it one more shot. Any comments on any of that?
Pretty cool. Going back to the WoW killer, he actively, nonstop he says the same thing like every time, like, we are not trying to end WoW. We are not going to be the WoW killer. He even said it today during this live stream. He reiterates it constantly. He doesn't want people to say that, because of the fact that the moment you say you're the WoW killer, people expect the game to be exactly like WoW and have the same fun and aspects as WoW, but also at the same time be exactly, you know, completely different from WoW. And it creates a unrealistic,
the same but different, and better at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's impossible. So the moment you try saying you're better than any game, you're almost doomed to fail from the start. So that's marketing wise, I think he's on the right track here. He's talking to MMO gamers at their level,
And I like that, as a real person. So let me ask you guys something. And I'll go ahead and answer this one first. I want to know what you think as far as MMOs go. Which MMO you thought was the best MMO that you ever played? Okay. And which one do you think is the worst? Okay. I just kind of want to freaking get a feel of something here. For me, the best freaking MMO, I love it or hate it, I'm going to have to say World of Warcraft. I'm going to have to say WoW. I do believe that when that game came out, it did set a bar as to what an MMO should be. What MMO do I hate the most? I'm going to have to say World of Warcraft. Okay. Again, it's fun in the beginning as you're leveling up and everything, but especially if you're a guild leader, when you get to that end game and you're trying to manage the guild, that game has so much freaking drama, and the drama eats at you every freaking day when you play the game. So I have my greatest memories in playing an MMO are in WoW. And some of my worst freaking memories playing an MMO are in WoW. So World of Warcraft for both for me. Zai?
Are you talking about personal experiences or just what we deem the best and the worst?
Either or, because I know you're limited with the MMOs that you played.
So, I mean, I'd say RuneScape is probably the best one. I've been playing that since 2003, and I still play it to this day. So 17 years, and I still invest at least minimum like minimum 3 hours into the game a day. So I'm gonna definitely have to say that the replayability for the game's insane. As of, I guess, the worst, WoW was the only MMO I wasn't able to actually sit down and play longer than like an hour. I've tried it. I've given WoW, I'd say about 8 chances, and I just can't do it. I created a level 80 instantly. I tried late game content. I just didn't enjoy it. Healing was all right in a dungeon or raid or whatever it was. But other than that, it did not appeal to me at all.
I'm on the Rich. Under Extermicide.
We lost you, X.
Oh, no. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to my stream.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I definitely say that. How about you, Ghandex?
It's really hard to pick one that was like the best. WoW had its virtues at one point or another. Like sometimes they've lost their way. Like Cataclysm, I felt like was an utter shit show, and I stopped playing after that. I felt like that was a huge downturn for me. But things like, I don't know, like every game has its ups and downs. But as far as like an overall, what was my best MMO experience? Probably WoW. Like X said, some of my best gaming memories are with friends from WoW. Same token, some of my most displeasurable memories are from WoW. When you play and you grind out your 25 dailies every single day to get this one thing, and then new X-Pack drops a month later, and well, it doesn't matter anymore. And I feel, a lot of time on that game. That's never going to get back. Not that it's all bad. Some of it's good, but
MMOs in general, man, are life stealers. They're going to steal that time.
And I know. But there have been there's been bad MMOs I've played, but they, to the point where it's like, I don't remember what it was. I've tried Black Desert. I don't like how it auto-passes you to things. Again, I don't like hand-holding. I'm a grown man. I can fucking walk myself to a quest. So
I agree with that. Black Desert was super. Yeah.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not just Black Desert. This just comes to mind. I played a lot, hundreds. So it's hard for me to keep track. But
I tried Black Desert, and then I realized quickly that there was a lot of pay to win in it.
I mean, I just hated the fact that you could just kill 1,000 creatures at once without taking like a single hit of damage, and it's just like,
yeah, I mean, it's Dynasty Warriors.
yeah, I don't want to feel like a god in an MMO off the bat. Later on, if I go to, you know, low level creatures, sure, that makes sense. But like just level 1 off the bat, and my buddy's like, well, late game, it goes from literally that the entire time to getting one shot. I'm like, what would the fun be? I've never had an appeal for Black Desert. I forgot about that, actually.
But I guess to answer your question, it'd probably be WoW and WoW also.
All right. And like I said, I played a lot of different MMOs. I'm just kind of throwing this out there because I don't know what you guys' experience are with the Eastern MMOs. Now, Eastern MMOs to me look beautiful. I love the freaking artwork in them, and I love the feel, the combat. I think for the most part, they're just really fun to play. But unfortunately, they come with that caveat of the MMO grind more so than any Western MMO. If you're playing an Eastern MMO, you're going to be doing some serious freaking grinding, and once
repetitive.
And once an Eastern MMO comes over to the West, then it's filled with nothing but these cash shops, that are just with the pay-to-win items and everything. One of the Eastern MMOs, I actually have two that I spent a lot of time with, being Terra and Ion. Have you guys had any experience with any of the Eastern MMOs?
Yes. Bless Online actually was really good on the Eastern side. I had a Korean account. I, paid for it and everything, and it was actually really fun. It was one of the first games or MMOs that I've, maxed out on. And then when it came to Western, it was just, I think it is actually one of the worst games in MMO history for Western MMOs, wow. I believe, if you look it up.
I remember when I saw the first trailer of it, I was really interested in it. I mean, it looked gorgeous.
I liked it. I mean, every single creature that you could attack and stuff, you could also tame as a pet. So I really like that concept. Ashes is doing something similar, which is pretty cool. Just not every single creature, obviously. And you, Gan, what Eastern MMOs?
I've played a lot. RYL back in the early 2000s was a Korean MMO. You mentioned Terra. I played Terra. I enjoyed Terra up until about mid-30s when you had to fight a million of the same mob, and it had one pattern of attack, and once you figured the pattern out, I don't know, it was just super repetitive and super boring. If they had an I like action combat games like that, but they need to have an adaptive AI where you can't do the exact same move on every single mob of that mob type and kill it.
The only thing is with that is that it's hard in every type of game. Almost every game has some sort of repetitive. It doesn't matter if it's an MMO or if it's an RPG or it's standalone. I mean,
I think it's different when it's an action MMO versus like tab target. That's just me though. That's my perception on it.
I also think it's different depending on the company making the game. I have seen for the Western releases some really, really stupid AI. One that comes to mind would be Star Trek Online. Now, we went into this game thinking this game was going to be awesome. Okay, we're going to play as the Klingons and blah, blah, blah. Well, this is one of those MMOs that lied to us because Klingons were not a playable race at the very beginning, even though they advertised that it would be. So we made a whole guild based on the Klingons, and no, it wasn't going to happen. So that kind of really sucked for our guild. But we get in there and you see the enemy right there. They're 12 feet in front of you. You know they can see you, but they don't aggro you. And then you step forward, and now you're 6 feet away from them. Nope, they don't aggro to you. You get about 3 feet, then they aggro onto you and everything. You got to be freaking kidding me. If I wanted to sneak through this whole freaking game, it would be really freaking easy to. And it was like one of the worst games as far as AI goes. And I'm so hoping with Ashes that the AI is going to be so freaking smart and just pulling random shit out of its ass that we as players could never ever predict that freaking, mob was going to do.
Yeah, some kind of adaptive AI would be nice. That way every combat isn't repetitive. But then again,
I don't see them doing that though. Steven's whole goal for it, in my opinion, is to create the perfect MMO, and I believe to him the perfect MMO would be one where it takes a while to gather the information on, a mob, but eventually that mob will be known, his tactics and everything else, especially like in dungeon bosses and stuff like that. That's how I some sort of sequence. Might attack a certain way. He gets middle health, might attack a different way. Gets low health, might attack with a combination. And after so and so or so much fighting it, you eventually learn how it goes, and I believe it'll still be repetitive. I don't think he's going to add it personally.
I mean, we'll see. None of us have played Alpha Zero yet. So
technically, he said that Alpha 1 is officially, a thing. So that's Leader of Men, which means that some Leader of Men are starting to play, which is really good because that means that Braver Worlds should be here soon.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So wait. So what alpha are we in right now?
It's technically Alpha 1, but
it's like pre-Alpha 1.
It's like Alpha 1.1, Alpha 1 Part 1, essentially. Leader of Men, at least some of them, from what they said, are playing it. I don't know
they're
all of Leader of Men, but
they're like trickling people in small amounts right now.
Yeah. Certain Leader of Men and higher, certain people that have privileges who paid into it.
So $1,000 and above on the pre-Kickstarter or the Kickstarter, they're able to play. And then here come October to December, whatever they deem the time, Braver Worlds will be able to play. And those are the 500 plus. So.
Oh, possibly less if you got in early.
Kenneth, welcome. Yeah. Hello.
But.
Okay. Well, today they had a developer update, and I know that all three of us watched it, or at least in part. I know Xy watched the whole thing. So
yeah,
I'm actually showing it on my stream right now.
Me too.
Without sound, but it's just kind of playing there in the background. So
me too.
Okay, so is there anything from that stream, Xy, that you took away from it that you definitely want to bring to the forefront right now and discuss?
So one of my favorite features out of any MMO, I love cosmetics. I don't care what other people say. I absolutely love cosmetics. I've spent over $3,000 on League of Legends because of the non-pay-to-win cosmetics. I just like my character to look badass or look exactly how I want him to look. So when I found out that their cosmetic system is similar to Guild Wars 2, it really got me excited because of the fact that your cosmetics isn't an item. You go into whatever item you have, and then you can alter that look to whatever cosmetics you own. So
the cosmetics act more like a transmute in certain games than like a cosmetic item per se.
Yeah, some games, if you have the cosmetic, that is what you have. RuneScape, for example. If you want something to look cool, you have to wear that. If it has 0 stats, it has 0 stats. That's it. But yeah, with this one, it's also kind of like Path of Exile as well. Whatever weapon, you just go into it, and then you change it to whatever you want it to look like.
I remember they said Jeffrey, who's, if you're looking at him on the beach, he's all the way at the freaking right-hand side there. was a Jeffrey and Toast. They said they're wearing the same exact armor, but it's going to look different because it's taking the racial trait of, whatever race the wearer is wearing.
Yeah. They also mentioned something about sex too. Was it based off sex as well, or was it just race?
I believe sex does have a slight impact.
Yeah, okay.
The way it looks, but I don't think it's
whether or not you get
as
boobs.
big as the racial one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another thing that it had us talking, I say us as in my guild, they also announced dyes, not necessarily in this, but going with the cosmetics and everything. Dyes will be in the game too. So you'll be able to not only customize your weapon with cosmetics, but you can also dye it. So someone kept saying that there is a lot of gold in this game. Every single weapon or armor that they have is gold. So
well, they're also the creators and the programmers, and they're going to deck themselves out in the best looking shit.
Exactly. Well, that's what we were telling him, that you can dye it, because he was like, what if I want to be a rogue? I don't want to just be, in full bling as an assassin. So we told him, you'd be able to dye everything black if you wanted to and stuff like that.
One thing that has come to that me and a friend of mine have questioned many times is Steve has this stance as far as cosmetics go of wanting to stay with realistic looking armor. And yeah, and as far as where women go, a lot of women who play, want to have something that's a little sexy. They want their character to look good and not so manly and everything. And I'm not saying that you need to have slutty armor, but it's very possible, especially with certain classes, like maybe a female mage, where you can show a little tummy and a little thigh and everything and make her look, a bit more feminine. But Steve's stance on it right now is making armor that is actually, like, if you were in war, would you actually wear something that's exposing your freaking belly? No, you're going to have it covered. He wants the armor to be realistic. And I kind of have like I don't know exactly how I feel about that. I just kind of want to see where you guys stood on that.
So I heard the exact opposite. A lot of times, a lot of people say that they hate the fact that men have these very bulky, manly armor, but women, it just covers their breasts and that's it. And I've heard a lot of negativity about that because one, it overly sexualizes women, and a lot of women that play games just want to play games. They don't want to just be like overly sexualized the entire time they're playing a game, which it's understandable. So I like the idea personally. I think it's a really good idea, and it's something most games don't do. He's kind of going away from the norm, like Terra and everything else, and making it realistic. And I think that will drive people into it. It'll immerse people more, in my opinion. Seeing someone walk around looking like Game of Thrones, pre-last season, of course, looking awesome and like full plate of armor, even if they're a woman, they still look fucking badass and stuff. But I think it'll add more immersion personally.
So if you look at like historical aspects, the whole boob thing in armor was never a thing. I'm fine if they get rid of that, where I agree with Zai. It is over sexualizing women. But you say armor and then you say mage X. Mages, unless they're battle mages, wouldn't necessarily wear armor. In most, thought, if you think, Merlin didn't, he wore a robe. So if they want to be of a Middle Eastern-esque type, of mage, I could see them wearing, something a little more skimpy, a little more flowy, a little more
open.
Yeah. So I think I personally have not heard or seen anything where Steven has a stance on this. I'm not saying one way or the other. If he does, then he's the creative director. I'm sure if there's enough people that give feedback, which there will be enough people give feedback, it depends on which way they go. It might influence him to change his decision. But I think there's room for everything, honestly, and it's player choice, and that might be the case.
He's given his stance, and a lot of people have responded to it. It's in the actual Ashes forums. He doesn't, from what I was reading, he doesn't seem to be wanting to bend on loosening it up, just a little bit, at least not yet. So maybe that'll change down the road and everything. One thing I could say that will probably come from something like that, though, is if everyone's wearing armor, that's probably going to stop a lot of the, I'm trying to word this as politely as I can, but it's probably going to stop a lot of those teenage boys who like to play the female character just so they can, it's easier for them to look at her ass all day. Or these guys who pretend like there are women in the game. This is not going to be that game where, you're going to make a freaking uber sexy freaking female character and be able to run with her. She's never going to look like the town hoe.
You bring that up. It's a possibility he's doing this to get rid of ERPers, because I don't want to say they're the worst kind of people, because they're definitely not, but they're not necessarily the kind of people I want around.
Yeah, and I don't know about that, because he did make what was it? ERP? Yeah. An ERP, reference earlier today. With the whole, if you sleep
the bed
in the
system,
exactly.
What is an ERP?
A thing, or if that's how
I think it is.
What's an ERP, please?
ERP stands for erotic roleplay. I know it's in WoW. It's in a lot of MMOs to a certain standpoint.
And this will essentially have a wife who you can lay in bed with, and everything else. Now,
I believe they said spouse. I don't think they said wife.
Oh yeah, spouse. Oh yeah. Because you're right.
That you get arrested, you get bonus arrested
if you sleep with your significant other in the same king size bed,
or if you're dwarves and you're in the bunk beds.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't have to just be dwarves. I believe there's bunk beds for other races as well. But yeah, if two people are sleeping in the bunk bed at the same time, then there'll be an additional bonus
a separate one
aside from just your rested normal.
Yeah, and then a separate type of buff if you sleep with your spouse. And
again, that's thinking outside the box. It's something you've never seen before, and I love shit like that.
So the only reason I think it has a grain of hoaxiness to it is because roughly in the same time frame, he brought up the whole orphan system.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I think that's kind of hoaxy. We'll see.
Oh yeah, well, that's the third time.
Now, see, I may have missed that part of the thing. So what's the thing with the orphan system?
So he brought up orphans. You can sleep with your spouse, and then that's how you make baby ewes. And then if your node gets sieged and destroyed, that's how orphans are made.
And then you have to get your child back from the orphanage.
Yeah.
Is this a joke though? Is he just him?
I think it's a joke. I'm hoping it's a joke because that's a little.
No, it is. That's why she was like, "Stop with the orphans," because it's the third time he's brought it up. He brings it up a lot, and I think people are starting to think he's serious, and so she's, I think, trying to nip that in the butt.
Well, it would be kind of fun if there was like an orphan building in certain nodes. It just randomly popped up.
I don't want to sit there and be traveling, trying to do all my quests and everything and worrying about the kids at home.
It makes it more realistic.
Look. We log into our MMO to escape reality. We don't want to freaking have reality all over again inside the game.
Sticking humans in these games.
Sticking on the subject here for a minute, as far as cosmetics go and everything, one of the greatest things I thought in WoW when I was playing it is when you got done doing that big ass dungeon or whatever, and you got that freaking chess piece that you've been chasing after forever. You know, you got to put it on and you got to walk through Ironforge and your armor is glowing, whatever. And you would have the people who would run up to you and kind of check out your freaking armor and everything because they know what you had to do to get it or how hard it was to get and everything. Is armor, as far as we know and everything, as far as the legendary armor goes, the real hard stuff, is there going to be armor that's going to stand out in this game visually so much where people are just going to look at it and say, wow, he fucking worked his ass off to get that?
Yeah. That's what Steven said is his biggest goal, is the higher tier the armor, the more it stands out. And essentially his goal is you will be able to tell if this guy is in your league or if he's out of your league by the armor and everything as well, especially because of the fact that the likeliness of you getting a drop of armor from a boss is slim to none. More than likely, probably like 1 in 100,000 for a boss. The reason is people, master craftsmen, will be forced essentially to create stuff like that. And I believe he stated that it will stand out completely compared to all the other armor.
And is there going to be an option in our settings to hide the armor that we're wearing?
No.
Yes and no.
Helms, probably, definitely, right?
Helms and backs you can turn on and off, even though you're still wearing it. He did mention that there's different back options, so if you want to turn off your cloak and have a shield displayed, I assume you have to be wearing a shield and just have it stowed, I guess. As far as like actually hiding your armor, there are transmutes, etc. But he did say, we don't have details on this, but he did say that you will easily, even with it transmuted, you'll easily be able to identify whether or not someone's going to kick the crap out of you.
And that's where I was going with that. You know, the last thing you want is this legendary guy to sit there and transmute his freaking armor into peasant clothing. Yeah. Okay. So that brings me to my next question and everything. As far as what Zai was just saying, as far as the rarity of seeing an actual armor piece drop, more likely we're going to see the mats needed to craft that particular armor and everything. So this is going with my concern regarding the caravan system. So, you're going to have to transport your goods to these places to go ahead and create this armor. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I do know that, when you come across a caravan, it's going to give you one of 3 options to choose from. Attack the caravan, defend the caravan, or ignore the caravan. Mm-hmm. Now, if this is a caravan that doesn't belong to my guild, and I know that attacking it is going to drop goods for me to loot, I'm going to have to say like 9.5% of the time, out of 10, I'm going to actually attack this freaking caravan.
With that, though, most, if not all caravans will have some sort of guards, either NPC guards or hired guards, actual people, or their guildmates and other random people that might stop by and try to defend. So, yeah, if it's just you and you're running around and you see a caravan, you can try to attack it, but chances are you're gonna get dropped in quick.
Yeah, but if you do like a world shout, hey, there's a caravan on the freaking East Road, and everyone just starts freaking barreling down. Now we don't even know if, a yell on the server is available throughout the region. So I'm just picking that out of my ass. But if there's a way to communicate
I would assume there would be some method of like a yell mechanic, as far as chat. I do think that's going to have a limited range. That, and even if you do are able to yell at people. The world is supposed to be massive. It's going to be very difficult to get enough. You find the caravan, it's going to be very difficult to get that many people in order to attack it there as quickly as you need them to be without, the caravan reinforcing itself equally as quickly. So, I mean, again, risk versus reward. Can you attack the caravan? Sure. What's your success rate going to be? It depends. There's going to be a lot of different factors that's going to go on. So,
yeah, but see that just it's something we've never had to deal with before. Which again, on one hand, makes it really exciting, on the other hand, it makes it kind of freaking scary too. And I love the risk versus reward thing. I understand that and everything. But can you freaking imagine if you're this caravan that you're escorting and everything? Some of the mats you have on there are legendary mats to create your freaking legendary armor, and you guys get attacked and boom, the caravan gets looted and they take your freaking mats, your legendary freaking mats that you've been working so hard to get out of certain dungeon and everything. That's going to suck ass.
So, as far as I know, caravans are going to transport large quantities of goods. And let's say the caravan gets destroyed. Not everything drops. It's only going to be some things that drop. We don't know what the percentages are yet. I'm assuming it's going to be less than 10% of what the caravan's carrying is lootable. That it could be more than that. I don't know. But
I'd say
if you have legendary materials, I'm assuming, and this is an assumption, I'm assuming you won't have enough that you can't carry them personally, or you're not going to lose them. Or at least less of a chance of losing them, because you could then navigate your way, safer. A caravan is a target, but it moves bulk product. Whereas if you have a few legendary pieces of crafting material, you could move unassumingly by yourself through the wilderness and hopefully not be attacked at all, because you just bypass everybody.
Yeah. And if you found the legendary gear, you're probably traveling with your guild already back to the home base. You probably know someone in town anyway that'll be able to craft it.
Yes, that, and you're not going to start a caravan at the dungeon.
Yeah,
unless there's a tavern. I think you can start caravans at a tavern, but I don't know.
Do you think? Okay, from the way I'm understanding it, these caravans can be loaded up with multiple people's stuff. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe
so do you think we will probably see something like guilds forming a transport night, on Wednesday night at 8:00? We're going to get our caravan together. Okay.
It would depend strategically where people's freeholds were located.
Now
I know I'm going to be doing blacksmithing. I'm going to have to, depending on where our guild base of operations is, I'm going to have to plan strategically where I'm going to put my freehold. That way it's within reasonable distance, but, so that way when transporting goods, less risk.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking. But
I have a question for y'all. We are coming up on our hour mark. Would y'all like to continue?
I am fine with continuing. This did not feel like an hour. I know we started a little late due to
like I said, I was kind of my original goal. I said an hour and a half, but this right here is feeling really good, and I still have more questions for us. Actually staying on this whole cosmetic kick right now. That's kind of what we turned this show into, is all about cosmetics. So I actually have a couple more things we can, a couple more directions we can go in with that.
All right.
Okay. So one of the other directions we can go with is, which I believe they kind of touched base on it today. Maybe I'm wrong, but the cosmetics as far as mounts go. It's not only about our player, but your mount. I believe there's cosmetics for the your houses, for the ships that you can sail in. It seems like there's cosmetics for like everything.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, pretty much everything. Now your mounts will essentially have three types of mount cosmetics. You're going to have your land mounts, your air mounts, and your water mounts. Each one, I'm assuming, will have its own cosmetics. So, for example, I have that ugly-ass lion moth-looking thing. That's probably only going to be for a flying/gliding mount if I happen to, get one. I can only activate that cosmetic for that. If I have a land mount, I could activate that raptor mount cosmetic, or if it's a water mount, you can do something like the turtle cosmetic.
So I do know Steven said, and this is for land mount specifically, there will be 3 tiers of land mount. I don't think flyers are going to need tiers. They're pretty much legendary anyway.
Well, you got flying / gliding. I think those go hand in hand.
We don't know yet. But as far as the land mounts, he did say there's 3 tiers. I'm assuming it's going to be normal. This is an assumption. I assume there's going to be like a normal rank, an epic rank, and a legendary rank. Or maybe rare epic. I don't know. And I assume they're going to have different abilities, different speeds, possibly, different requirements for obtaining them. Like you said, you can put that raptor skin on a land mount, but it might only go to a certain tier, and possibly that tier or lower, maybe? I'm not sure how it would work.
It has to go on the same kind of mount, right? If it's a skin for a raptor, you have to own that kind of mount first, and then the raptor skin can go on it.
Possibly.
That's the way I understood it, is that there'll be like a bear skin that you can buy from the store. Unless you already own the bear mount, the bear skin isn't going to do you any good. And buying the bear skin isn't going to give you the mount. You have to own the mount already, and then you could slap the skin on that mount.
Yes, but that's where the tiers come into effect, I believe. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I was kind of interpreting it as if you owned essentially a land mount, you could put any land mount skin on that. For example, going back to the bear, if you have a raptor, you could essentially put that bear skin on that raptor, and it'd have just the raptor stats just as a bear.
Yeah, I don't think so. We're gonna have to confirm that. I don't think that's how it works.
And that's the thing. There's not enough info just yet about mounts. So
going back to the flying / gliding, I'm almost positive that's the case because of the fact that in one of the earlier dev videos, I think 2019, 2018, Steven did state that the mount he was on, the moth mount, he's only flying it now because he has the king status, but and it turned it into, being able to fly. Mm-hmm. But if he didn't have that status, it would then just glide. So from that's where I'm gathering the flying / gliding is the same tier for at least for cosmetic.
You could be correct. I thought the gliding ones were going to be land-based mounts, and they might be considered land-based mounts until you achieve a certain rank, and then they get the ability to fly. I don't know. They might be categorized differently.
Yeah,
we don't know. I like the fact that flying mounts, because they showcased it today, are able to swim.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
I don't know. I kind of thought it looked funny.
The animation isn't right, but I like that it can swim. Is the point. And I also like the fact that land mounts travel faster on land and slower in the water.
I lean towards the thing like, let's say some corrupted player, I'm on my horse, and a corrupted player is trying to kill me, and I'm running from him. I'm on my horse, and I'm freaking running away because I don't want to be killed. And most MMOs, what happens is your mount hits the water and you automatically dismount. And I would kind of expect that, or my wishful thinking is I would want that to happen, where unless I'm on a water mount, it's going to dismount me as soon as I freaking hit water, and I can switch to my freaking water mount at that point.
I disagree.
No, I mean, currently,
I like them swimming, and it lowers your movement speed by
and there's no reason that a land mount can't swim unless it's made of fire. Then I can see it not being able to swim because it gets
it'll get stoned.
But I did like that they showcased that the galactic tortoise mount. when you wander near water, or I guess if you stop near water, it gets shy and hides in its shell.
I don't want to get,
but I don't think it's. I don't remember the video exactly, but I do know that they were near water and he popped up in his shell, and I don't know if it's when they stopped and it was just a little extra animation.
See, that's what I thought, and he just kind of played onto it. But it could
and that's
be
possible. I don't recall.
Yeah.
I do know. Shortly after that, he was swimming with the tortoise, so you still can swim with it.
Yeah.
all right. I don't want to get too far into mounts because that's a whole another topic and everything. But as
It's on my notes.
okay, but one thing I do want to freaking ask is, okay, with all these skins, so we already know that there's going to be the cash shop, and we know that they're going to be updating it monthly with new skins, but are there going to be skins, as far as we know at this time, that you can actually earn in game by doing quests?
Yes, he's already said it. He hasn't gone into much detail, but you will be able to earn some skins and stuff like that through doing various activities in the game. Now,
Which probably means if you can earn skins as a reward doing certain quests or whatever, then there will probably be certain events that will be happening around the holidays, be it Halloween, be it Christmas or whatever.
Oh, definitely. Halloween events.
I don't know if they're going to fall around real world holidays. They might, but they might actually have, because I know there's divinities. We don't know what those are yet in game. So they might have their own holidays. Granted, those holidays might fall in sequence with North American holidays.
And that's what a lot do. A lot of them do. They're just like, oh, this made up myth,
WoW
holiday
had their own version of Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And most games do that. Yeah, but
and then they'll have even better skins for the holidays in the cash shop, and I get that,
or they might have skins for items that you can only get during that event. For example, Christmas or, any December holiday, it might be like a Santa hat or, something like that. And they could sell a skin specifically for that event. I've seen some games do that, and it's not bad.
Do you think they would have a little bit of fun with it around the holidays and maybe a snowman skin, something of that nature?
I can see that, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see them going all out for some holidays. I mean, if you look at, I bet you that the October one will be extremely awesome, and it's going to be Halloween themed. And they already do it. If you look at last year's, oh my god, it was amazing. It was great. So, oh yeah, I definitely see them going above and beyond for holiday.
Going above and beyond to me is if they made a snowman skin. But if you're in the freaking northern lands, you're all good. But if you enter the freaking desert in your snowman form, you start to freaking melt. That's above and beyond.
That would be kind of interesting. I don't know if we'll do that, but that would be
at least showing like the drips on it.
Yes, it's like oh my god, I'm melting.
Little effects would be that'd be pretty sweet.
All right, trying to think anything else with cosmetics.
I know that
should be stated. Today. Yes. Okay. Which is a good point because I wanted to bring that up. If you see, they never mentioned anything about the cash shop. Are saddles going to be assigned to particular mounts, or is one saddle good for any mount?
From the way I understood it, is that, and this is where the tiered mounts come into play. You'll get a saddle, which I assume is for a specific tier. And then you can, skin that to be whatever kind of mount or saddle you want it to be, whatever skin you have. I don't think it's going to be like this is a saddle for a horse, Because I do believe it's tiered. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think it's tiered mounts, and then you skin that mount into whatever skin is appropriate for that tier. And I believe saddles are the same thing.
See,
So tiers for a saddle would be something along the lines as giving it more bag space to carry items.
Yeah,
different speed boosts, etc. They kind of highlighted. don't know if I wrote any down. I know they kind of went over a little bit of what saddles can give you. Attack.
Going back,
I know I have it somewhere.
Going back to the tier thing, I don't see that as a very viable option for cosmetics. I see that causing a lot of issues and something I don't see them doing because of the fact, let's say you just spent $50 on a skin for your saddle, but then you found out it's a tier 1 saddle and you can only use that on that tier 1 saddle. If you're higher than the tier 1, you're probably going to demand your money back. Most people will either ask politely or demand their money back because they just spent $50 on what they assumed was a saddle skin. Instead, what I see them doing is each skin will have potentially different versions. So if you put a flaming skin on a tier 1 saddle, it might just be embers. If you put it on a tier 3, it could be full flames. So that way you're still able to determine if, what the tier is.
But again, we don't.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, this is all speculation.
Yeah. That's why I think that would probably be the most viable option personally on like a game development stance.
I do want to remind people who are watching the videos, either playing on Xy's stream or mine, what you're seeing here, this is pre-alpha footage. And this is on the Unreal 4 engine, as of now in pre-alpha. So they are planning on using Unreal 5, which is going to be released right around the corner. And this game is going to be updated. It's going to be one of the, if not the very first MMO to be released with the Unreal 5 engine.
I heard differently from some Phoenix Initiative members. I heard that they said that if it makes sense, they will push out Unreal 5 over time, but they will be sticking with Unreal 4 until they know for a fact. So there's still a chance that it'll stay Unreal 4 even after the game's released.
Okay.
But
I'll have to find it because it wasn't one of his recent developer interviews. He did say that they were kind of building this up for Unreal 5. And
he did say that they wanted to stay up to date with Unreal, but at the same time, they need to make sure that Unreal on the back end, and they're working with Epic with that.
Right. And it was Jeffrey who actually did the comment, because he said that the way they have coded it so far is to convert over to Unreal 5. It's as simple as them running a little program and it just converts everything right over. Everything is going to be compatible. It's part of the reason that they had to restart development a year or so ago. There was a point where they had to redo a lot of their programming because it wasn't quite right. And you guys would know more about that particular time than I would. But it was something about the incompatibility with future versions of Unreal. So they went back and they freaking did this coding. So this next version, which they are working with Epic, this is what Jeffrey said. Once it gets released, and it's right around the corner. And if you haven't seen Unreal 5 yet, guys, go to either Epic site or just do a search for Unreal Engine 5 on YouTube. The graphics that this engine creates is absolutely stunning. It's absolutely freaking beautiful. So this stuff right here in this game, in the pre-alpha form, these graphics are looking good they're looking better every developer diary that they're doing. I mean, I see a big difference in the graphics than I did in the last one. So I'm really stoked to see how this actually turns out come by the time we get to beta, because we're going to see a totally different viewpoint of this game in beta compared to what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
And I mentioned beta because once you get to like the beta phase, at that point, their decisions are pretty much locked. It's if the stuff that's going to change is going to happen in the alpha phases. Beta is pretty much just, like, okay, well, this is the way we have it. Let's just freaking stress test the freaking, everything now.
More, it's hot fixes. It's, hey, I just found out how to dupe this thing. It's more fine tuning everything that they have made. Yeah. So
I think beta 1 might still implement larger changes, but beta 2, I think I do agree with you guys, is more polished, making sure servers are working as intended, etc. So
I don't
have you seen
two lasting very long?
Have you seen anything at all graphic wise in any of these developer reports that when you see the graphics, you kind of cringe? You're like, eee.
Not graphics. I have seen a few animations that were off.
Yeah,
but it's mostly buggy stuff. Something clipped through.
The Raptors.
Supposed to. Yeah, Raptors.
Last video, and they were just like going.
Oh, the epileptic Caesar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or people walking above the land.
Graphic quality, it's looking better and better each time, and obviously it's still not polished.
It's not just me. You guys are noticing a improvement with each video we're seeing.
Yes, I am.
So I can tell their art department is really going at this 100%. They're big freaking changes each time. I mean, not huge, but I can notice them.
Yeah. And I mean, like they said, productivity has gone up tenfold since COVID happened and everyone started working from home. Because you are more likely to do more work if you can be in your PJs than if you're in a full suit, working at someone else's office.
They were never in suits.
I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, they're very dress casual, or whatever, work casual. But yeah.
All right. Anything else cosmetic wise? Anything else to touch on cosmetic wise?
Nope. I mean, I think this is probably a good place.
Realistically, they are going to, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to stick with the realistic sizes on all the armor and weapons. Also, they're not going to go like some of the Eastern MMOs where you have the super big freaking sword that's just, crazy big and looks cool as hell.
I don't think they're going to go over the top, but I do think there will be some exaggerations. But
you think so?
Yeah, I can see them having a giant two-hander that like is dragged when you walk or something. I think that'd be cool, actually. I can see some slightly off the wall things because, like you said, their goal is to go high fantasy, but to still keep it a realistic high fantasy. So I bet you, there's going to be some slightly over the top stuff.
How about cosmetics or weapons that glow or have some kind of effects put to them? Yeah.
They already have them.
Sizes mostly, but
sizes.
Well, as far scale wise, if you look at historically, a tower shield was never wielded by one. I mean, it was wielded by one person, but it wasn't. They didn't use a weapon.
Yeah,
like they used the tower shield with both arms. They were theirs, defensive, and then they got out of the way for frontline troops to run in. They were literally meat shields, is what they were. Like you never saw a knight wielding a tower shield and a sword because it was too bulky. It was too unwieldy.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another question I would have then. Going back on the whole thing with the outfits, especially since we were talking about holiday outfits and well, if they're all skins, you're going to have your character's going to have their own library of skins that they can implement at any time. These ain't going to be like one-time use skins, correct?
No,
I don't think so.
Not.
And I believe it's a count skins, not characters.
It is across the board. However, you can only have one character have that skin attached at a time. So if, Gregory Stillborn is holding a flaming sword, your other guy, I don't know, whatever you call him, he can't have the same flaming sword. You'd have to put on a different type of sword. But if you took it off your first character, you could put it on your second character. Yeah, it is across your account.
Okay. So, and then if, not talking about skins, if we're going to talk like something like, let's say, you got your weapons with different stats on them. You have your one sword that's good for like if you're going in and you need a cold effect sword, and then you got another sword that's fire effect, depending on the dungeon you're going in, which one you would use. I'm assuming we don't have a designated tab that all of our weapons go in. It's going to take up, like in most MMOs, your bank slots, so if you're going to hold on to massive amounts of armor, it's going to take up a majority of your inventory.
Possibly.
I would assume so, yeah.
Some games have a cool implementation where you have 2 combat slots. So you essentially carry the 2 secondary weapons on your back, and then you physically hold 2 of them. So if you had a shield and a sword, you could carry it. But if you had a bow and arrows, that'd be on your back. And if you switch, your character would pull out the sword or the bow and put the shield and sword away.
And I've seen that, and we haven't seen anything.
Secondary weapon slots like Diablo 2 or
exactly.
game.
As far as this game goes, we haven't seen anything about that. Okay.
No, I have not seen anything like visual aspect of it, nor have we been confirmed of anything. I don't know of an MMO off the top of my head that had secondary weapon slots. Do you guys?
Did Albion? I don't know.
El Pepe.
No, I don't.
If you're still around.
I haven't really played too much, so.
Thank you for stopping by.
I have no idea.
But, I mean, off the top of my head, I don't think there was, and I haven't heard anything, so I don't think that's going to be the case. I think if you're going to do that, you're literally going to have those extra weapons in your bag. Which is obviously going to take a bag space, but we'll see.
I see. If we suggest that, that's something I bet Steven would be interested in, because of the fact that allows other people to see what you are packing before you fight them. Versus if it's just in your inventory, they don't know if you secretly have a legendary weapon, but if you have it on your back, people will be like, I'm not gonna mess with this guy.
Well, I don't necessarily think that matters, because in some games you can't swap items, like equipped items, while
that is true.
So, and I don't know how Ashes is going to do that. They might.
I believe they said there is swapping during combat, but I don't want to be quoted on that. I do remember someone asking, and that was a conversation. There is information on it, but I don't know where. I'd have to look into that as well.
All right, and I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Guys, I think that was a good first show. Would you agree?
I think it was pretty good. Obviously, aside from our initial technical...
Yeah, I was going to say, a rocky start.
Dude, man, if something is going to happen, it's going to happen when you're trying to go live, and that's no freaking lie.
But I think it was nice. I'm excited to do it some more, see how the videos are, and they get, what responses they get.
And I tell you guys, again, this was our very first episode. If you did stop by, thank you very much. Show your support, give your love, likes, and all that to Zai, myself. Ghandex, you just wave your middle finger to, he don't fucking care.
I might start
Your subscription received. Class 2 access granted. Enjoy your stay.
There's not a whole lot for me to...
Saying truth if I can. So. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so...
Second path, but...
No, I think moving forward, again, guys... This is going to be on Sundays and Wednesdays starting at 9:00. So if one of us can't make it, we have substitution people who come in. And we're always looking for other people who, if you feel that you could contribute and you're knowledgeable and you want to hit us up for possibility of being on the show, then do so. But
if you're not knowledgeable,
well, if you got something you can contribute to, well, again, if you're a guild leader and you just want to promote your freaking self, by all means, because we're going to grill you too. We're going to ask all the freaking questions and try to make your life miserable during an hour and a half. This was an hour and a half show, and I like the time limit that we actually used for this.
Good,
So
I agree.
And I think moving forward, I think these shows are just going to get better and better and easier. So, guys, if you did stop by and you spent the time with us, much appreciated. And we will see you again. I forgot what day of the week it was, man. We'll see you Sunday, 9:00.
Yep, Monday.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
All right.
Good night.
Y'all have a good one.